We're really plunging into the life, the incredible legacy of one of Bollywood's most, I guess, enduring figures, Rekha.
Absolutely. A truly enigmatic star.
Yeah, exactly. And we've looked at a whole bunch of sources, biographies, film critiques, old interviews, the works, all trying to figure out what really made Rekha, well, Rekha, a legend.
Right.
So our mission today is kind of pull out the key insights, trace her journey, her transformation.
And that whole thing where her life and art just seems so intertwined.
Totally. And of course, the legacy that still fascinates people. So yeah, let's unpack this amazing story.
It really is captivating when you put all these pieces together. What jumps out immediately, I think, is how you just can't separate her personal story from her professional one.
No, you really can't. And to get it, you got to start right at the beginning, don't you? She was born October 10th, 1954. But the thing that really stood out from the research for me, just how young she was starting out.
Oh, yeah.
Like maybe 13.
13.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Can you imagine stepping onto a film set, this huge demanding career, when you're basically still a kid?
It's pretty astonishing, isn't it? I mean, the sources all kind of point to this really rapid immersion.
Right.
And you have to think, that must have built some serious resilience in her.
I do.
It wasn't just learning lines, was it? It was figuring out this whole complex adult world.
Under a massive spotlight.
Exactly. Maybe before she even, fully grasped it all. But that early start, tough as it must have been, it probably fast-tracked her learning curve, her understanding of how things worked.
Yeah, makes sense. And from those really unusual beginnings, she definitely transformed. It became this, cinematic force.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of the sources we looked at point to 1976. That seems to be a key year.
Right, 1976.
Yeah.
Because of a particular film, Ray Ray.
That's the one. It wasn't just, another role. It felt like a real turning point.
Right.
Showed her evolving her artistic depth, maybe.
Yeah, Ray Ray definitely seemed to push her beyond some of the earlier, maybe simpler roles. And if you connect that, like you said, to the bigger picture, her filmography, well, the sources really highlight her range.
Incredible versatility.
Yeah. She went from, light romances, Sawan Padon is one, to action dramas, Rampurka Lakshman, Dharmatma, stuff like that. And then these much more nuanced, character-driven films. Anjan comes up a lot.
And that kind of range, that wasn't exactly typical back then, was it, for leading actresses?
Not really, no. It really established her as someone adaptable, a serious performer.
And it wasn't just the variety of roles, was it? It was her presence in them, that magnetic quality.
Totally.
I was really struck by how many sources brought up specific lines, dialogue that became instantly recognizable as hers.
Yeah, it says a lot, doesn't it, about the impact she had.
A huge impact.
It really does. It makes you ask, how did she manage that? Not just survive that early start, but thrive and create characters that stuck with people for so long. The sources even mention one line specifically. Every
night will have a morning, every sorrow followed by joy.
Exactly. And apparently that wasn't just dialogue. It became almost like a national proverb,
Wow.
Yeah, embodying hope, resilience, themes that clearly struck a chord with a whole generation. That's a real impact.
Building on that, her story isn't just about the movies, is it?
Not at all.
What's so striking is how her personal life got tangled up in her public image.
Deeply tangled.
Our research shows films sometimes seem to mirror what was supposedly happening in her life, or maybe they even shaped how people saw her relationships.
Right.
Think about 1980. That year comes up a lot.
It does, with films like Silsila.
Oh, yeah. That one definitely blurred the lines. Very controversial.
And Umrao Jan, too. Her performance there as the courtesan just redefined grace and tragedy on screen.
And both those films, Silsila, Umrao Jan, were often linked in the public mind to her talked about personal life around that time.
And that's exactly where the life and the legend really, fused together, created that mystique.
Yeah.
So many accounts from back then talk about how people almost couldn't tell the difference between the characters and the real person.
It's like her real life, which she kept intensely private, but everyone speculated about.
Right. That speculation seemed to fuel the enigma.
She wasn't just playing complex characters anymore.
No, she kind of became this enigma that people just couldn't get enough of. Endlessly fascinating.
And that mystique, that fascination, it really lasted, didn't it? For decades.
Absolutely. It endured.
The sources are pretty clear. She remained influential way beyond the 70s and 80s.
Oh, for sure. As a fashion icon, a style icon.
Totally. but also still seen as this powerful performer, even with fewer roles later on.
She really carved out this unique space for herself in Bollywood, didn't she?
She did. It feels like her career was defined by, I don't know, bold choices.
Definitely bold choices, and just this unwavering commitment to her craft.
It's interesting how some critics noted that evolution, from maybe being seen as quite plain initially.
Right, to becoming this high fashion figure.
Making style choices that were really unconventional then, setting trends.
Yeah, choices that still inspire people today. She developed this image that was somehow both regal and completely her own thing.
What's really fascinating here, and what you get from all these sources, is that she hit this level of stardom, this lasting impact. Well, few others manage that.
It's a testament to her journey, isn't it?
It really is.
Her whole evolution from that, unpolished young actress
Right.
to this incredibly sophisticated, almost regal icon who still captivates people years after her main acting peak is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
She didn't just adapt to the times. She redefined what it meant to be a leading lady, a star in that whole industry.
So we've taken quite a journey today, haven't we? Through Rekha's life. From that incredibly young, challenging start, through those game-changing roles like in Ray Ray back in '76, and how her personal story got so wrapped up with her iconic status, especially with those 1980 films like Silsila and Umrao Jaan.
Yeah.
The real aha moment for me, I think, the core takeaway from this deep dive, is understanding that her mystique, it wasn't just talent, was it?
No, it was more complex.
It was this masterful, maybe unintentional, maybe deliberate blurring of her screen personas with her off-screen life.
Yeah.
That intensely private yet intensely speculated about life.
Right. She didn't just play the enigma.
She became the enigma.
Exactly.
Her story is just such a powerful example of resilience, reinvention, especially in the public eye.
Truly.
So it leaves you thinking, doesn't it? When you reflect on why she still holds such appeal, what elements do you think are the most vital for someone famous? Not just to get famous, but to keep that aura, that mystique and relevance going for decades.
That's a great question.
What really stands out to you about how she's managed to stay such a powerful, captivating figure for so long?